Facebook Live. This week's live video is and blog is the last of the year. We're coming down to the end of 2021. So there won't be any videos now until the new year. So let's get into it. This is all about doing a little reflection before self-reflection, before we make any New Year's goals or resolutions or change habits or routines. We want to create a healthier routine for ourselves. And it is based off, if you're stressed, and let's face it, what year we've had, it has been very stressful. Um, and stress can have such a negative impact on us, mentally and physically. Our thinking becomes more negative. Our ability to focus properly is badly affected. Making positive changes in our lives can be hampered, all because we're stressed. We also tend to avoid, I've talked about this in the stress videos, avoidance is one of the behaviors that we use when we're stressed. And we'll avoid, of course, we're going to avoid people and places that cause us more stress. But unfortunately, we also then avoid maybe positive things and positive people in our lives as well. We become fearful to step out of that narrow comfort zone that stress can hem us into. It's important that we start to see what's really going on. We take a breath, we stop, we take a breath, we observe what's really going on, and then we can proceed proactively with it. In other words, we're going to use that stop method that I've talked about before. Um, so you know, let's talk about taking time to reflect and what goals you want that will help you. Um, you know, where do I want to focus my time and energy more productively? And the goals, will help you take back control, but only if they're goals that are going to be positive for you. And it's really about asking the question, am I focusing on the right things for me? I've talked about this before because when we're stressed, we tend to become, as I said, very, hemmed in, very hampered by our, negative thinking and our inability to focus properly, etc. But we also tend to focus on the problem rather than the solution. So we really have to be asking ourselves that question. Am I focusing on the right thing for me? And we have to emphasize that. Is it for me? Because that's very important too with goals. Are they for you? It really does also include like understanding like why do people fail at their goals? And when we can understand that, we can use that information as well to give us a better chances at success. So I'm going to run through them very quickly. Why do people fail at their goals? Because the focus of this week's blog and today's video is a couple of those points. This is where the reflection comes in to try and circumvent you failing on a couple of these. So why do people fail at their goals in the new year? The goal itself, even the habit, if it's a new habit, it's too big. We just don't realize the enormity of what we're taking on. So that can help us, fail. You can take the typical one of everybody said, I'm going to go to the gym. So they go to the gym, but they take on too big of an exercise routine. Instead of, particularly if they've been sitting on the couch, they have to build into it gradually, but they don't do that. They just hit it, head on. It's too big. It's just simply too big, too much, too soon, and and you give up, you fail. The next reason people fail is going alone. Going it alone, we don't ask for the correct help and support. We all need, every single person on this planet needs a support system around them, a positive support system around them. And not asking your support system for that help is going to, hamper you. And when you attempt to go it alone, then, it can lead to failure in your goals. Another one is, a bad day equals a complete failure. Again, one bad day, oh, I'm useless. We talk ourselves out and we give up. One slip, again, that's what that's about, one slip. So we kind of say to ourselves, oh, why bother, I've had that slip. time management. Time management can be an issue on a number of fronts. One is that the goal is too time consuming. In other words, it doesn't really fit into your lifestyle. It's again going back to being maybe too big or too much, and it just doesn't suit your lifestyle. Um, it could be a financial burden. It could be too large of a financial burden. It's not saying that we don't have goals, bigger goals that are financially, expensive, but we pace it out instead of trying to do it in a short term. We pace that out, and we set a realistic financial goal for ourselves to achieve that goal. Um, but when you have an unrealistic financial burden on you, then again you can set yourself up. Going back to time management, we don't actually plan. So as they say, when we fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we really need to plan things out and think about it, and that's going to be one of the things. Part of why I talk about reflection is this planning, proper planning. And when you're planning, you need to take time to sit down and reflect on what's really going on. And the second point about today would be people who have a lack of honesty with themselves. They're setting goals that maybe are based on other people's expectations. They're not our goals. They're not in line with our beliefs and values. When we don't do that, then again, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So part of our success at any goal, as I said, or new habit, is going to be around the planning and honesty. And this is where we bring in the reflection and we look at the different areas of our life. So very quickly, I will just head through in the blog. You can go back and read the blog, and the questions are all in the blog. There's also an image up there to help you. It's a wheel of life image. You can go and have a look at it and different areas you can use. But it's important to look at the different areas. So what areas could you look at? Well, and what time period? Looking back at the last 12 months would be realistic. To see where the different areas of your life were like in the last 12 months. And I know people, and I've put this in the blog, I know given the year we've had, that could be very difficult for some people. But again, with stress, with any mental health illness at all, anxiety, depression, anything at all, they don't want you to set goals, because setting a new goal for the future is a symbol of hope. And stress doesn't want you to have that hope. It wants to keep you hemmed in, hampered. So taking the time to reflect and focusing, then on what is important to you is a way of taking back control and not letting the stress win, not letting the stress steal your hope for the future. Don't let it win. Please don't let it do that. And also it helps you, as I said, proceed proactively. And when we proceed proactively, we're usually doing things that are for us, that are in our best interest, instead of reacting. And with stress, we're always reacting. We're constantly reacting to the next crisis. Where in fact, if we can take time to slow down, step back a little bit, mentally and physically, we can just hold on, slow down here, let's see what's really going on, and use that stop method. So questions: how has the last 12 months been? Get out a diary. It doesn't have to be anything special. It can be maybe one of the children's copybooks that they're no longer using. You could set up a document on your laptop or your tablet and answer the questions about the different areas of your life. The only thing I would say to you is, make sure this can't be read by somebody else. So a locked folder would be ideal, or keeping your notes together, as I said, in a copybook, or if you have a journal, make sure somebody else can't read them. They're your notes, they're for you, they're completely private. Sorry. So the areas that you could use is, the relationship with yourself, your health, Your self-care, I always bang on about your basic self-care, I know, but it is really important. It's your foundation. Your spirituality, if that's applicable for you, any fun, any hobbies or interests that you do. Another area you could pick would be your relationships with your other half. If you're in a relationship, your relationship with your children. You can then go to look at relationships with close family and friends, the positive ones, okay? Positive family and friends, you know who they are. Then you can look at work, and that can include your relationships with your colleagues or your employer or your manager. Or if you're the manager or you're the employer, then what's your relationship like with your staff? Um, Other things would be an area would be your home environment is very important and how it can impact your life, and your work environment. So any physical environment, including your car, anywhere you spend time. If you're on the road traveling for work and things like that, and in your car, even for an hour a day, what does that look like to you? Is it stressing you out? Is it constantly nagging you that you have to clean it? So have a look at it. What's it been like? Um, your finances. I've talked about this before. I did a whole video on finances and honesty, and it is a tough one. People find very hard, but if it is a problem for you, please reach out to Sarah. There are services there that can help you ease up the stress on your finances. MABS is one such organisation in Ireland. Your personal development would be another one. And that's not just in terms of work. Most people think of personal development and they think of continuous professional development in terms of courses or keeping up to date with the latest research. But there can be personal development just for you in your personal life. Perhaps that could be just reading a book. Maybe that's something you're interested in. Just for enjoyment, just to help you relax. Maybe you let that go. Another area could be other relationships. That would be with people and friends and colleagues. Maybe you're not that close to them, but you interact with them. It can also include the negative people in your life, the negative vampires, as I've talked about before. And as I said, you can use, the Wheel of Life. There is a copy of that on the blog. Go and have a look at it. Or you can just Google Wheel of Life and it'll come up and it'll give you the different categories. But remember, an awful lot of those Wheel of Lives don't put you on the Wheel of Life. So remember to put yourself there, because that's the biggest relationship you will have is with yourself. So always include yourself on that one. So questions for each area. I'm not going to go into them in too much detail because I'm conscious of the time here. They are on the blog. You can go have a look at it and take them down. Write them out for yourself. Take the time. Take the time. This is not a one-off thing you can do in just 20 minutes. You need to give yourself even a few minutes in a night over the next few weeks to write these questions down, the answers down before you set your goals. So the first question would be, what are your relationships like? All of them. You can list down the people, all those people that I've just talked about, all the different relationships, and write down how you treat them and how they treat you. Because it's equally important that you write down how you treat them as much as how they treat you, what your relationship is really like. Second question would be, what successes did you have this year? 3, what goals did you reach? If you didn't reach these goals, what stood in your way? And remember, it doesn't matter how small a goal is or a habit is that maybe you got a habit in that was more healthy for you. It's important that you write them all down, because this is going to help boost your self-confidence and build your motivation there when we can see, yes, I am achieving things. Maybe I didn't get all those big goals that I'd planned at the beginning of January of this year done, but I got all these other things done. So make sure you're noting down your successes and all the new habits and any even smaller goals that you achieved. Number 4 would be, are there things and people you're grateful for this year? It's important. Who are you grateful for? Number 5 would be, what are you most proud of? Again, a lot of times people, when they hear that question, they automatically think of work. But remember, it's about your personal life as well as work life. And, you know, if even if one of your children succeed, we think that that's on them. But it's your success too. And you're entitled to be proud that your child has achieved something this year, whatever it is. 6, what challenges did you face? I think a lot of people find this one a lot more easier to write down than some of the successes. But the challenges are there. And we've all faced them, particularly this year. But what other personal challenges maybe did you face? Even in work, what was it? How challenging was it for you this year? And 7, were there lessons you learned this year? So always with a challenge, or if we make a mistake, it's always about what can we learn from it? What lesson did I learn from it? Because that's the difference between success and failure. Is people who succeed, they will learn from their mistakes, they learn from the challenges, and they move themselves forward. They don't let the challenge or the failure or the mistake to hold them back. 8, are there people and things you want more of in your life? You know, sometimes when we're very stressed, in fact, most of the time when we're very stressed, it's the people that are there and the things we're doing is usually, as I've said before, of a negative nature. We're caught up in the crisis. We're caught up with negative vampires, issues, and dramas. So, they're not the people you want more of in your life. You want to be reshifting your focus over to the people that are positive for you, that are healthier for you. Less drama. Maybe this is where you want to start shifting that over. Who are they? Who are the people and the things you want more of in your life that are positive and healthy for you? 9, what do you want less of or want to delete from your life? It's okay to put them down, and if that includes a person, it's okay to do that. Number 10, what is no longer serving you? That's a big question. Sometimes we think it's a small one, but it's actually not. We do things. This comes down to honesty. Are we honest enough to really answer this question? What am I doing that's no longer serving me? We can have habits and things we all do that no longer serves us. Maybe we used it in the past as a coping mechanism, but now it is no longer serving us, and it has become a problem, and it has, it may be the source of your stress, or it may be contributing. Go back and have a look at those triggers of what is causing your stress. Number 11, are there supports, people or things you added into your life this year? People that helped, things that helped, supports that were there, that have come into your life this year, and you want to make sure, you want to note them, you want to recognize them. 12, what did you rearrange this year? A lot of things may have been rearranged this year in your life. How you did things, maybe you had planned a wedding, it had to be rearranged. That would be the obvious one for a lot of people that were getting married. But there may be other things, smaller things that you've had to rearrange in your life this year. Was that good? Did that benefit you? Did you find, this worked out much better for me? Be truthful there. Be honest again with yourself. Again, it's not all about the negative on that one. 13, did you take time off just for you this year? As I said to my mum's group about this question, even 5 minutes for yourself a day by yourself can be an awful lot of time, depending on where you are in life. So did you take that time for yourself? Even a little amount of time, a small amount of time. An awful lot of time when we think about taking time off, we think of the 2-week holiday. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks holiday. It can be just as simple as 5 minutes breather a day just for yourself, to be by yourself, to step off that hamster wheel and go, okay, let's take a breath here, let's take a breather here. It could be as simple as that. But what other amounts of time have you clawed back for yourself this year? Or is this something maybe you'd like to focus on next year? 14, do you see any negative patterns in your life or negative people in your life? These are very important to identify, because when we become aware, We can accept that okay, this is where I'm at right now. This negative patterns in my life, this negative person's in my life. Now I can be proactive and do something about it. But we have to recognize them first. We have to recognize them. So this is about awareness. The last question on this one is, have you taken time to review your priorities? That's your to-do list. And your self-care routines in the last 3 months. How are they going? Do you have any? Is it just all the to-do list? Is it all up here? Is that stressing you out? You need to write it down. Might be a little bit less stressful, so do your brain dump. Get in the habit of, writing it down. It can be a simple habit to get into, but it can make such a difference to your stress levels. Having a basic self-care routine can have such, an impact on reducing your stress. Again, have you taken time to put those in place? This is about honesty. It's preparation for planning for next year. Maybe that's where you need to focus your goals next year. And that's what I'm going to finish on now, is about, creating what we might call prioritized goals. And a prioritized goal, these are ones that have knock-on effects. So we set a prioritized goal for one area of our life. But if we don't set it, it can have a knock-on effect into other lives. And these prioritized goals should be, a means of supporting your basic self-care and your important relationships, your positive relationships, first and foremost. So, to decide which areas in the future maybe you should prioritize. So we're going back to our wheel of life and we're looking at those areas, and you're saying to yourself, okay, which one should I make a priority goal for me next year? You just ask yourself the question, if I don't prioritize this area of my life, or even one small aspect of this area of my life, will it have a knock-on effect onto other areas of my life? So for example, it could be about your health. Maybe because of stress, your health has suffered. And if you don't make health your priority for next year, even in a small way, then you could become ill. And if you become ill, then it has a knock-on effect on your relationships, your work life, your home life, etc., etc. It knocks on. It's like a domino effect. So having a goal around your health could be, and reducing your stress, that could be your prioritized goal next year. I do give other examples in the blog. It isn't that, you don't set other goals in your life, maybe smaller habits, changes in your life. That's what it's about. It's just about, if you're stressed, it's a better option to set a priority goal around reducing your stress for next year. That becomes your number one priority and for next year. And it also is a way of, taking back control over your life again. So have a think about it. It is about, prioritizing you and the area of your life you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be about your stress. If you're not stressed, you feel you have a handle on it. It could be around your relationship. So a simple goal around your relationship, I think it's one of the ones I give in the blog, would be to have, give up every Friday night is set as date night for the next year. It's a hope. We hope that we have 52 dates next year as a couple. It may or may not happen. We have to be flexible about that. But that's the goal. We set aside Friday nights for date nights, because if we don't prioritize our relationship with our other half, our relationship is going to suffer, our home life is going to suffer, our work life will suffer. So you can see it's a knock-on effect. So have a think about that. Sorry, I've been talking for too long. Always a clue when I start coughing. I've been talking for too long. I will leave it there. Thank you all for listening. As always, if you have a question, pop it in underneath if it's related to a particular video, even if it's one of the old videos. Pop it underneath that, ask the question. I'm happy to come back and clarify. If you have a question in general, you have the option to send me a message and ask me. If you're over in my group, then you have the option to private message me, and we can have a chat. So think about taking time before you rush into. I have to set a new year goal. I have to have it ready for January 1st. You don't have to have it ready for January the 1st. You're better off slowing it down, taking your time, and thinking about what you really want rather than rushing in. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening as always. Stay safe. Have a good holiday. If you're celebrating the holidays, have a good time safely. And I will talk to you all in the new year. Until then, be safe and be kind. Kindness costs nothing. And I will talk to you all soon.